Have you ever asked yourself, what's the difference between task and value task? I'm here to answer your question. A task is a class, which is a reference type and heap allocated. But on the other hand, a value task is an struct, which is a value type, which is a stack allocated. So here is one of the most important differences between task and value task. Less memory allocation. When you define a method as a task, because it's a class as a reference type, it's allocated on the heap. So it's allocated the results of that method on the heap memory. But on the other hand, a value task, when you define a value task method, it allocated the results on the stack memory. So what's the task? As I mentioned earlier, task is a class that represents an asynchronous operation. So it's a way to handle the concurrency. It's important to know it's not a concurrency creator, it's just handler. It's really important. So it's a heap allocation because it's a reference type and you can await it multiple times. Here is one of the most important differences between value task and task. But on the other hand, we have value task, which is a represent asynchronous operation, same as a task, but it reduces memory allocations. I explained the reason why, cause it's an stack allocation, so it's allocated results on the allocation, and it's also okay for synchronous scenarios. You have some synchronous methods, synchronous operations, and only need a async wrapper, just asynchronous wrapper. So it's full fit to use it for your synchronous scenarios. But you have to be carefully where and when and how many times use the value task. As far as I'm concerned, you can just wait it value task once, and it's so important. And you can't use value tasks in task.when all or when any. This is important to know, and you can't use it in these scenarios. Let's dive into the code and see what I'm explaining about. So uh, here is the code I'm prepared for explaining what's the restrictions of value task and task. So if you see that I have a get numbers async method, which is a value task. So as you probably see, I can't use it in task.when all, and it yelling error to me too. You cannot convert, and the compiler cannot convert task to the value task. So this is important. But what's the solution? It has a method in value task that turns the value task to task. So we can use as task to turn the value task to task. And here is the solution of solving this problem. And the other problem we mentioned out is awaiting multiple time. As you can see, we multiple time the value task methods get numbers async, and we cannot await it multiple times. When we awaited once and we want to use it once again, awaited again, it can cause some problem because it's allocated on this stack and it's uh, it cannot guarantee that store the results again on where it's allocated before and cause some undefined behaviors and something like that. Hope this video helpful for you and have a great time. Goodbye.